All right, 10 of 7 now. We want to check the latest on the storm's track.
Michelle Muscatello back in now with some of the very latest information. Michelle?
Well, that's right. We continue to watch this storm race up towards the northeast on our satellite and radar composite. And what we're looking at here is that we are seeing some of these bands of heavier rain as anticipated moving through Rhode Island and just Bristol County, Mass. We haven't seen much in Boston and the Cape over the last hour or so, but you can see the rotation here where this rain is coming in from out over the ocean. The other thing that I'm noting here on the satellite and the radar is some dry air working into the storm. It's much less organized than what it was even say 12 hours ago. It's wrapping all the way around now. So on the eastern side of the storm, we don't see quite as much rain. We are getting into some of these bands, and that's expected to continue, especially through the morning and early afternoon. But the heaviest rainfall totals, we could be talking upwards of a foot of rain over parts of western Connecticut, New Jersey, and New York and eastern Pennsylvania. So New York City really getting hammered right now. The top headlines from Irene right now is that tornado watch has been issued for our south coast. We have the approach of our first high tide, as well as the latest information on Irene from the National Hurricane Center, which it is barely a hurricane still. So your weather alert here. Here is that tornado watch. Areas shaded in yellow. It just means there is a potential for a weak, short-lived tornado here as these bands of rain continue to move into our areas. It's something that we're watching for. I don't see any signs of it happening right now on live pinpoint Doppler 12. Moderate to at times heavy rain combined with the winds that are picking up, and it's blowing that rain sideways at times. You can see some dry air moving into parts of South County. It's probably short-lived. You can expect these off and on downpours throughout the morning and especially into the early afternoon. After that, I think it'll start to wind down a little bit in terms of the rain, but we're going to see these winds picking up as well, starting to see 30-mile-an-hour sustained winds out over Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket. We've got about a 25-mile-an-hour sustained wind in Providence, Block Island, and in Westerly, and the gusts are around 45 miles an hour, 40 to 45 at the coast, and about 30 to 40-mile-an-hour sustained winds further inland. So here's Irene, the center of the storm now over southern New Jersey. It's going to be racing up. The latest speed is at 16 miles an hour, so it's north-northeast. That puts it on that track to pass just east of New York City later this morning and into the afternoon. This wind path still 500 miles wide, so that's why you can already see that we're in these tropical storm gust winds right now, and this is when we start to get into the stronger winds as that storm approaches our area later on this morning. As of 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it should be moving into northwestern Connecticut and then racing through Massachusetts and New Hampshire. These are sustained winds right now, and you can see the 37-mile-an-hour sustained wind speed out of New York City. And we're going to get into some of those tropical storm force winds. The other factor, again, is going to be the waves. And we do see just offshore as high as, say, 20 to 30-foot waves. Well, all of those high waves with the path of the storm pushes that water in towards the bay, and that's why we're watching here for this first high tide. And this has been one of the trickier parts of the forecast here, has been determining the storm surge potential for our area. It's been very dependent on the timing and the track of the storm, and I think we're going to end up here with a better scenario than what we were thinking even just a couple of days ago or even yesterday. I think of the upper part of Narragansett Bay along the coast, we're looking at perhaps a 2 to 4 foot storm surge in this first high tide here between 7 and 8 o'clock this morning. That's going to cause some flooding. We're looking at the potential for beach erosion, but it's not as perhaps severe as what could have been had this storm tracked a little bit closer to us and been a little bit closer to landfalling at high tide. So we're looking to wrap it up for you for storm impacts today. 2 to 5 inches of rain, isolated higher amounts, winds on average about 30 to 50 miles per hour. We could see some gusts on the range of, say, 60 to 65 miles per hour. Those higher gusts should be confined to the south coast. This is still enough wind to down limbs and branches and cause power outages. We're already seeing that this morning. And the surge this morning should be 2 to 4 feet in Narragansett and Buzzards Bay and along the coast. It could be a little bit higher for the evening high tide, around 3 to 7 feet for the second storm surge potential flooding here in the evening high tide around 8 o'clock in the evening. So it's something that we'll be watching for very closely. The good news here in the 7-day futurecast, the rest of the week looking much more quiet as we are still going to be windy on Monday and windy tonight as well, but rain-free here as we head into the work week. Back to you.
All right, Michelle, thank you.